Andrade El Idolo,
one of the most talented wrestlers in the world.
He has indeed held championships all over the world. Just about every championship you can win in CMLL. He's an IWGP Intercontinental Champion. And he has arrived here alongside Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah, he's a big-time in-ring product, no doubt about it. All those championships will attest to that. And apparently Vicky Guerrero's made herself a deal.
Gracias, Vicky. Thank you. I used to say, I am the face of Latinos.
You're listening to Talk AEW, the official wrestling podcast of TiltMagazine.net and GumaStomp.com. I'm your host, Mariko, joined as always by Mr. Aaron Santos.
What's up?
And of course, the editor-in-chief of GumaStomp, Mr. Ricky D.
What's up, Mariko? What's up, Aaron? What's up, AEW Nation?
So we've got a packed show for you today. We've got two main events. We're going to be talking about some behind-the-scenes rumors at AEW, as well as maybe some talk about the roster, considering how many new free agents there are on the wrestling market. But to start things off, like we always do, it is time for Ricky's rapid-fire questions.
So, let's start with the future of AEW. Guys, I'm not happy about this. Dynamite is airing all month long on Friday night. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to watch wrestling on a Friday night at 10 p.m. So Rampage, I know it's only an hour long, and I know it's not their main show, but Tony Khan decided that Rampage should air on Friday night.
As long as it's before 10, I could probably do it. Mm-hmm. But 10 to midnight, my word. I don't know if I'm just old. And it's like, but who is going to be watching it? If you're young, you're out having fun on a Friday night at 10. Mm-hmm. And if you're old, you're in bed.
Yeah, my question was, or is this a mistake? Was it the wrong day? Now, we talked about this way back before they even announced Rampage. Like, I think it was like episode 2 or 3. We're like, if Tony Khan were to introduce a second show, what would be the best night to air that second show? And I remember saying on the podcast that Friday night would be by far the worst choice, followed by Sunday.
Honestly, I think you can make it work. Let's not forget that ratings juggernaut The X-Files was a Friday night show. The thing is, it has to be before people go out. It has to be at 8 or earlier.
I used to watch The X-Files. And you know what I used to do, Mariko? I used to go to Sydney Express downtown Montreal next to Dawson College and watch The X-Files while drinking with my friends because they had it on a big screen.
Yeah, so do that with wrestling on a Friday night. Okay, the ratings dip a little bit because I don't know how they count bars, but...
I think Friday night's, like, honest to God, a terrible, terrible choice. Like, okay, first of all, before Aaron cuts in, we just went through, or we are in the middle of a pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. So there isn't a lot of movies being released. There's very few. There's just less competition. Sports is a complete mess, right? So, like, if your program is struggling to get ratings during a pandemic when there's less competition, because remember, everything's competition. YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, streaming services, video games, PlayStation, Xbox. It's all competition. It's not just wrestling promotions. Mm-hmm. So yes, there's always a ton of things to do. Like there's tons of video games coming out. There's always, whatever. But the point is, it's like a Friday night. Like I just don't want to be. And maybe it's because we do the podcast, so I kind of feel like it's not like work is not the word I'm looking for, and it's not a chore, but it feels like a commitment. It feels like an obligation, and so I don't want to. I don't want to be in front of my TV on a Friday night. Like I got to be honest with you. Like the last 2 episodes of Dynamite, which we're going to talk about shortly, weren't exactly the most exciting episodes. There's still some good stuff that happened, but I just wasn't into it because again, Friday night.
Yeah, they did really feel like the mall episodes of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like I agree with everything you guys were saying. I mean, like there's just my argument I would say is that, on a Friday night especially, is that we all have like full-time jobs, and I feel like, uh, time is kind of like a luxury, right? Like, especially like on a Friday night, like what I want to do is like kind of like relax, maybe like hang out with some friends, or like, like I said, like Friday nights. I think I mentioned this on our chat, is that usually like it's a time where I get with my cousins online to play like video games, because we all have jobs, we all have commitments. It's hard to like get together at times, and Friday night seems to be like the time that we can hang out and chat a bit.
Yeah, we
It's-
we we've had a curfew in Montreal. Like, okay, so like just about everything closed down in Montreal over the past year. So it doesn't really matter. It's not like there was anything we could do. Bars were closed, restaurants were closed, cinemas were closed. But we also had a
Mhm.
curfew. And so you had to be indoors by 8 o'clock p.m. It was insane, like really
Yeah,
intense. Now, after a year of lockdown, the last thing I want to do on a Friday night is
stay
be home watching
indoors.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm the exact opposite. I've been super happy not going anywhere. That's not entirely true, but uh my husband and I are definitely indoor creatures, if
Hmm.
anything. And Fridays has traditionally, or at least for the last few months, been our catch up and watch stuff night, because we
Yeah.
have the replays of Dark Side of the Ring, which air Thursdays. We watch it on Crave on Fridays, and then all of the Disney Plus shows
Hmm.
have been premiering on Fridays, except for Loki, which is kind of throwing us off.
Right.
But we're big Star Wars fans, so we're watching
The Bad Batch.
Bad Batch
Hmm.
every Friday, and yeah, we usually find like a couple things that are weekly or something
Hmm.
to watch on Fridays. But like, again, if it's happening after 10, like, it's not happening for us.
Hmm.
I see. Okay, so like just to quickly go over this before we move on to the next question. By the way, I love how I called this Ricky's rapid fire questions. We spent 10 minutes on one question, but anyways.
Yeah.
So okay, like Monday I said was a bad idea because of Raw and mostly because of football. Tuesday was a bad idea back in the days because of Impact, but now
Hmm.
they moved. But now NXT's on Tuesdays. But the problem with Tuesdays is you would have Elevation on Monday, Rampage on Tuesday, and Dynamite on Wednesday. It'll be like we would suffer from AEW fatigue by the time Dynamite comes, which is like you
Hmm.
don't want people to be tired of watching wrestling by the time Wednesday hits and it's like your main show, right? So that's a bad
Hmm.
idea. Thursday wasn't too bad of an idea. Probably better than Friday, but I was just like, why not Saturday morning? Like, I wake up Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and I watch wrestling for an hour before I start my day.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like I know we're like down on the whole like AEW being on Friday night, like Rampage and everything, but like from my end, I have DVR, so I could always just record an hour of the show and just watch in the morning. So
Yeah, and like, I don't even have cable. Like, we watch it through the tsn.ca, and we can watch
hmm
the replays the next day.
Oh, listen, I'm going to be watching Rampage on Saturday. I'm going to do just that. I'm going to record it. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to watch it. So I do realize that I have the option to PVR the program and watch it the next day. So it's not the end of the world, but I'm just wondering about the ratings because the ratings for Dynamite have been horrible on Friday.
that's what I'm more curious about, because we all know, like obviously not everyone has the ability to like record the show and watch it after, or whatnot. I mean, that's what I'm curious too, to see how's it gonna do in the ratings. So.
Because Sunday is impossible because of pay-per-view events. You can't do it on a Sunday.
Hmm.
Unless you
No.
do your pay-per-view events on a Saturday, but that doesn't work.
I don't know. I'm really curious how this is going to work out. I think it might be okay. Especially now as things are like opening up, like, this might actually all be like a calculated thing to like take advantage of like the bar market
Hmm.
and social viewing again. Because, okay, you want to go out on a Friday, but what are you gonna go out and do? You're gonna go hang out with your friends and watch wrestling, maybe.
That's true. I mean, I could see like going out like a
I
night out
don't
of
think
town.
it's a total terrible idea, but I'm curious to see how it works out.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I'm like when Mariko. Like, I don't, like I said, like we've been like down on it so far, but like I am still curious to see how it's going to work out. You know.
My thing is just like, if you put it on 10 on a Friday, it's gonna sink.
We didn't record a show last week, and I'm going to let you guys know right now we're probably going to take a week off again because the Friday night viewing is just not working for our schedule. But I know a lot of the AEW podcasts I listen to, they didn't record their normal show or a show following Dynamite like they normally would.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I mean, can you imagine you're a writer, a critic, a reviewer, and you are assigned to review and cover Rampage, which airs at 10 p.m. on a Friday night?
Oh, it would just feel like you have no time for yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of places have stopped doing recap shows just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Moving along. All right, going back to last week real quick. Did you think it was strange how they decided to introduce Andrade?
Yes. I was excited because it was a surprise, and I always like surprises. But yeah, it was weird, especially because they paired him with Vicky Guerrero, who just came out, got all of the heat,
Mm-hmm.
and people booing so freaking loud, and then Andrade comes out, and they're like, "Oh wait, no, we're gonna start cheering."
Yeah, it was kind of weird because you would probably, I would have expected him to have come out during the Casino Royale.
Well, that's what we were all expecting, which is why
Yeah.
it was a surprise when they just like dumped him into a random Friday night episode of Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't really do anything or say much, so I can understand how people were underwhelmed. I liked it because it was so random, but like it was weird. It was random.
Yeah, I mean, I like agree. I liked it because it was random. I do feel like he probably deserved a bigger entrance than what he got, but
I mean, he didn't have music. He didn't
yeah.
have a Titantron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My biggest problem with this introduction is it happened seconds after Mark Henry walks out for the first time to actually talk to the crowd.
I kind of like it because I hate those middle of the ring interview segments. They are just created to be interrupted.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it. It didn't bother me at all. I mean, no knock against Mark Henry. Like, I would love to hear him actually get to talk and stuff. He's a really cool cat. His oral sessions with René Paquette was fantastic, by the way.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
I heard parts of it, but just him talking about why he decided to make the jump and like what he wants to do there is very, very exciting.
Okay, so also from last week, we witnessed the DMD celebration. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, enjoyed the spotlight as she celebrated her win of the championship. This was a bizarre segment. We had the Wingmen, we had Nyla Rose, Vicky Guerrero, Chaos Project, Rebel, Reba, Tony Schiavone, all in the ring celebrating with burgers? Like, what? Is it just me, or is this one of the strangest segments in the history of Dynamite?
Well, I think it was meant to be a weird callback to that whole like Trump sports celebration where he just bought a bunch of hamburgers for I can't remember what sports team it was and what they won, but I think it was a reference to that.
Okay.
The other thing is that this is honestly the second weirdest celebration in the ring that they've done, because the worst was already done by FTR with that weird thing with the cake that just ended with a bunch of baby faces eating cake for no reason in the ring. That was the worst one. This is a close second. But I absolutely love Nyla just throwing hamburger. Honestly, just for the visual of Nyla gleefully yeeting hamburgers all over the place, I say this was a win.
Yeah.
Such a waste of food. I could not stop laughing. And it's all because of Nyla. I kind of felt Nyla Rose stole the spotlight from
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. It was fantastic. It really set up, like, you knew that whoever holds the championship is gonna have to face Nyla at some point, and that was a perfect way of introducing it. The feud. I think it's gonna be really fun. You know, I think both performers, Nyla and Britt Baker, are at the peak of like their characters and their everything. So I think this is the start to something really super fun, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
I'm just curious now though, like who's the babyface in this scenario? Is it Britt?
I think a lot of people were saying Britt.
Yeah, because like she still cuts promos like a heel though. But that's what I'm curious.
That's the thing. I think they are both heels, and I love heel
Mhm.
feuds. So
Yeah,
See,
so I'm
I
curious to see.
don't think, and I mentioned this. I think it was last week or the week before. I don't think Britt Baker has always addressed her promos as a full on heel. Like she will talk and she will
Mhm.
praise her opponent and say good things about her opponent, but the
But then
way
talk
she
about herself though.
well, yes, but she makes it clear that she worked really hard to get where she is. So it's more of a coming from a sense of pride and hard work, and this is what she needs to do to achieve
but it's
her goals.
the arrogance on top of it that makes her a
Yeah.
heel.
Mm-hmm.
If you took the arrogance away, yeah, she'd be 100% a babyface. But
I
'cause
mean,
she's
they're
got
all
an attitude, she's
arrogant.
a
Even
heel.
Jungle Boy, who's the biggest face of all faces, is arrogant. You know, I think you have to be if you're in the wrestling business.
I mean, to a certain degree, but
Yeah, to a certain degree, yeah.
Okay, but my question was, Aaron, and I think Mariko answered it, is this the strangest celebration segment or one of the strangest segments in the history of Dynamite so far?
Well, for me it's the strangest because I can't remember the FTR one.
all I remember is Luchasaurus in the back trying to eat cake through his mask, or not in the back, but in the back of the ring.
Oh,
I don't
And
remember
Marco,
that.
and like we're just sitting there like, what is happening? Who's eating the
Yeah,
cake?
yeah,
Why are
yeah.
they eating cake? What is happening?
Mm.
Was it McDonald's or Burger King?
It was just hamburgers. There was no.
Oh, there was no like tie-in promotion with it?
No, they
No.
didn't. They didn't manage to get a sponsor for that one.
All right, next question. Aaron, I think you're going to want to answer this one. AEW is booking the Young Bucks every week on Dynamite, but rarely, if ever, do they put the belts on the line. So last week, they were in a tag team match with Pac and Penta El Zoro. Penta El Zoro? No, Penta.
Penta es zero miedo.
Mm-hmm.
This week, they were in a three-way match with Brendan Cutler against Pac, Penta, and Eddie Kingston. And apparently next week, the six men are going to fight in a match yet again. So 3 weeks in a row, Pac and Penta versus the Young Bucks. So are the Young Bucks getting way too much TV time?
No.
No, I enjoy seeing
If the
them.
match is fun, like I
Mhm.
put it on every week.
Yeah. I mean
These
I
are
totally
fun matches.
exactly that's exactly what I wanted to say. Like these are fun matches. I don't mind seeing the Young Bucks. But I can see the argument if it's just seeing the Young Bucks without them putting their title on the line. Like, yeah, I mean
That's my
yeah.
issue.
I mean,
I don't mind if the Young Bucks are wrestling every single week if it helps with ratings and if they put on a good match. But
mhm.
they do have a tag team championship to defend.
Yeah,
And instead
that's
of
it.
doing a tag team match, they're in three-way matches and now a four-way match next week. So what the hell?
Well, reading your question, like I was trying to I was thinking because aren't they going to introduce like a a three-man championship?
So if I believe, I'm pretty sure Cody made it official online, but
Mhm.
I don't think they've actually announced it
Mm-hmm.
on TV.
Because
No.
I'm wondering if like this whole like three-man setup is leading into like a three-man championship or a three-man tag championship.
I mean,
Like,
maybe, but they've been doing three-way matches since the start of Dynamite, and we've always
mhm.
had great three-way matches. I'm just want to know, why are the Young Bucks, the tag team champions, involved in three-way and now four-way matches when you have the belts, defend the
Yeah.
belts?
Well, we've already talked about this. Like, AEW certainly has a problem sometimes putting these championships like or setting bars for these championships because you know they tend to forget that they exist sometimes. But uh, I don't know. I
Yeah,
really
there's always like a weird balance between telling good stories and making sure like all of your gimmicks, aka your belts, are relevant. And
Mhm.
yeah, it seems like
They
they're still figuring that out.
yeah they have a bit of a trouble like walking that line a bit sometimes. So
Speaking of championships, is it just me or does the TNT championship seem and feel more prestigious and more valuable than the actual world title.
I mean, it's being defended more
Mm-hmm. That's
in interesting matches. So
yeah.
I mean,
That's the one thing I could say about the TNT Championship is that like,
we
yeah,
actually see it be defended. It's in play.
mm-hmm. And you have these wrestlers who are going after it, cutting very very nice promos of why they want to get that championship.
Okay, but here's the thing. Going back to my previous question, the reason why it's the best championship in the company is because it's defended almost on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
There's always somebody new challenging for the championship belt, so it's not always the same wrestler versus the same wrestler. And they've had the best champions, from Cody to
Brody
Lee to Darby Allin to Miro. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Miro's like one of the best things about Dynamite right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at the world title. It's like Kenny Omega is going to have it for like a year, and he's going to wrestle the same guy for like a year. That's not exciting. I mean, thank God now finally he's going to wrestle. I mean, he just wrestled Orange Cassidy and Pac, and now he's going to face off against Jungle Boy. But
yeah,
like, that's what I want to see. Like, that to me is cool. They should look at what they're doing with the TNT Championship and try to do something similar with the world title and the tag team championships, because the Young Bucks should be defending the title.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
Okay, how do we feel, Mariko? I think you're going to want to start here. How do we feel about Christian Cage now? Is he improving? Are we excited about this feud between him and Matt Hardy?
I'm kind of excited about the feud just because it seems like the best fit for both of them for a feud. But yeah, I don't know.
Wow. That just killed the podcast. This is a problem with Christian Cage. Like, we want to be excited, and every time we talk about him or see him on TV, it's kind of like, it feels like a downer, right? It feels like
I feel it's just because we have the way they built him up coming into AEW. The expectation felt like it was really high. They seem to have set a really high bar for him.
outwork everyone.
Outwork everyone. He just is not getting to the level we think that he's supposed to be in AEW. So I think that's the problem.
His matches have been really good lately, but not because of Christian Cage, because of his opponent and the fact that his opponent seemed to be slowing down so he can keep up.
Mm.
And so I see a lot of people online raving about his matches. Oh my God, this is a great match. This is a great match. And I'm like, I mean, I guess it's a good match, but it kind of feels like
it's
they're
a
purposely
great
slowing it down for him. He can't keep up. He's got no cardio.
It's great because it's what he is doing in the ring is it's old school wrestling. It's certainly wrestling that we've seen in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a very particular, somewhat limited style
Mm-hmm.
that a different promotion, it's their stock and trade, and the fact is, if we wanted that, we could go somewhere else for it.
That's the thing. I was about to say the exact same thing. Like, it feels out of place in Dynamite, not because we can't see those type of matches in Dynamite, but because if you wrestle, say, who did he wrestle this week? Angelico, right? Was it this
Angelico,
week?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you wrestle that dude, I don't know, like,
It was one of the better matches just because it was an interesting mix of styles.
Mm-hmm.
it's patient, it's well paced, it's all about the psychology. I shouldn't be complaining, but I just feel like they're slowing things down for Christian. And no offense to Matt Hardy, but he's not exactly in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if
Which is why I figured this is probably a pretty good feud and could result in at least an interesting match.
I think it's gonna be a really boring match, but we'll see.
we'll
Well,
see.
depending on how Matt Hardy gets with things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Matt Hardy needs to work on his cardio also. Like, I know these guys are older, but if you're going to continue wrestling, like, you need to be able to keep up.
I I know, but there's a certain point where like all the cardio in the world just isn't going to help you anymore. Like you can only get so much cardio out of a 56-year-old body. Like that's just the facts.
Yep.
Regardless of whether you're, a high intensity athlete or not.
So QT Marshall challenged Cody Rhodes to a strap match. How do we feel about this challenge, considering Dustin Rhodes, had a bull rope match with Nick Comoroto last week?
To be honest, I was waiting for the strap match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, the bull rope match just made me think, oh, Cody's probably going to want to have a strap match soon. And yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That said, I don't think it was a very good bull rope match, so maybe the strap match will be better.
Really? I thought the bull rope match was pretty fun.
Okay, but I felt like it kind of showed how green Comoroto was. Like, I mean, Dustin did work his pants off to make them both look great, but it was just like a weird. It was a little too throwback and I don't know. It didn't engage me the way that I wanted it to. It was also that it really felt like there wasn't enough lead up to it for it to be a bull rope match. Like usually those kinds of stipulation matches, you have like at least a couple of weeks of like, taunting and psyching people out and whatnot. And there wasn't a lot of that for this. So it was just kind of, it felt a little anticlimactic. Like it felt weird. Like there wasn't a build up to it. It was just like, oh, bull rope match. Here we go. He gets hit with the thing. We're over.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I agree with everything you said. Like it wasn't like I'm not gonna say like it was the most amazing match, but I had fun watching it. But like you said, like it was mostly because it was Dusty Rhodes like working most of the time.
Yeah,
I think that's what made it.
Dustin was great, and he was in his element. He loves that freaking bull rope and whatever. But for everybody else, it felt a little like, what's happening? Okay, the old guy wants to wrestle with a cowbell. Sure, let's let him.
I don't know. I thought it was amazing because Fuego de la Sol got a chance to shine.
Okay, that was fantastic. That made the match. You're right.
Okay, moving along. The Pinnacle, the Inner Circle, the feud continues. Is it overstaying its welcome, or are we happy this is going to continue?
Well, clearly it's going to continue. I think this will always be I think this will always be like a concern for me is like how much bigger can you make it from the last match, because everything's just going to keep escalating. So
I'm super happy about it because I'm a huge fan of the Inner Circle, and I think it also gives AEW a valid excuse to keep 10 of their best guys busy. So, for example, Santana and Ortiz won't be chasing a championship title because they're too busy fighting FTR. Sammy's too busy fighting Shawn Spears and or MJF. I'm not entirely sure where they're headed with this new storyline, but I'm excited, and I think they can do some incredible singles matches. The one question mark here, and this is what I said about a few weeks ago, is are we going to see finally Sammy and MJF in the ring? Because we've been waiting for that for about like 5 months now. Or is MJF going to continue wrestling Chris Jericho? Because he made it very clear this week that he's beaten Jericho not once, but twice.
The way the story is going, I feel like MJF is gonna go with Chris Jericho. Although MJF and Sammy Guevara would be more a much more entertaining match to watch. So I don't know.
Shawn Spears, man, he's ruining everything. Like, he's the problem. Shawn Spears is the problem because you put Shawn Spears there, he's there to wrestle Sammy. But Sammy should be fighting MJF. That is what everybody wants to see. So what do? Do we put Shawn Spears versus Chris Jericho, or do we just forget about the fact that Shawn Spears is part of this faction and Chris Jericho just becomes a ringleader and forget about a one-on-one match with those guys?
I don't know. They gotta figure something out with Shawn Spears though, because like I feel like the natural thing would be Shawn Spears against Sammy, just because like Shawn Spears is the one that took the pin. So
I know, but nobody wants to see that match. Like, I'm sorry, everybody wants to see MJF versus Sammy because the whole thing started when MJF joined the Inner Circle. There was friction between those two men,
That's
some
very true.
argued jealousy, and it turned out at the end of the day, Sammy was right and MJF was screwing over Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle. That's how the storyline began. So it only makes sense that they return to the Sammy versus MJF feud. Instead, they decided for whatever reason to add Shawn Spears to the mix, and it's just not working.
For me personally, though, at the end of the day, like I really just wanted this feud to finish, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the Stadium Stampede wasn't the exclamation point on it, so obviously it is going to continue. I hope they figure things out as far as like making interesting matches out of this feud, because I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that are going to start to get very old very quick, and we need to kind of mix things up a little bit. I don't want to keep watching Sammy versus Shawn Spears as much as I like both wrestlers and their work. I just it doesn't make any sense anymore, and we need to do something more interesting.
Yeah. Okay, Darby Allin decided to wait an entire week, to announce that he's not choosing a tag team partner and will instead fight Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Is this a smart idea on the part of AEW to book this type of match with Darby Allin?
Makes sense. Fits his character. Just get the snot beaten out of him, and then... I mean, he's always at a disadvantage, so now he's at a double disadvantage. Whatever.
Well, it helps Darby, but Aaron, what does it do for Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, especially if they lose the match?
It really puts them down, man. If they can't beat Darby Allin by himself, two of them against Darby Allin, I mean,
it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand what I mean, like, it's a cool idea, and if you're a Darby Allin fan like I am, like, he's my favorite wrestler right now, like, you want to see it.
No, there's gonna be some kind of dumb interference, and then maybe it'll start like a feud between Darby and Sting, because Darby didn't want Sting interfering or something. So I feel like this isn't going to be a straight up like 2 against 1. Like, something funky is going to have to happen in order to make sure everyone's properly protected, because otherwise you just murdered the credibility of the Men of the Year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I hope to God you're right, because that's the point I'm trying to make here. They have to angle it in a way where all 3 men look good. Like, they can't bury Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. That would be really bad of AEW. All right. Quick question. Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling. At first, we weren't really a big fan of the pairing of these two.
I've loved it from the start.
Really? Okay. I wasn't sure, but now I think they make a great team.
I've always loved the male valet. I can't remember the name of the team on NXT, but like the smarmy business manager dude who's like always hanging around like the hot chick wrestler. Like, I love that dynamic, and I think Mark Sterling is the perfect guy to play the weasel outside the ring for Jade, and I think this is gonna be really fun.
I mean, like, I honestly did not know what to expect, because like I saw Mark Sterling like in a match a couple of weeks ago, I think on Elevation, or is it on Dark?
Oh, really? He's still wrestling?
Yeah, I think he wrestled
it was
John
Dark.
Moxley.
Oh, that was ages ago.
Yeah, he wrestled like John Moxley and got himself killed, and then like and then when I heard like he was gonna be like, or he was the storyline was going that he was going to manage like Jade Cargill, I was just like, well, I'm curious to see how this is gonna work.
But I don't understand why Leo Rush can't just be a manager if he doesn't want to wrestle anymore, because he can really do wonders on the microphone.
It's I mean with the Leo Rush thing, I mean, like,
it just kind of sounded like he was just over wrestling altogether. I mean, maybe he'll change his mind in a couple of years after his kids grow up a bit, but yeah, he just seems in like an emotional place where he's just done with it all. So
yeah, and I respect his decision for it. You know, like sometimes like your mental health and personal being is important.
You know what else is important? Appearance. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Orange Cassidy needs new clothes. Now, this week, the Wingmen actually offered Orange Cassidy a spot in their makeover program. And I think it was, who was it that said he's the worst dressed wrestler in AEW? Anyhow, I totally agree. So my question is, now we're not going to argue about Orange Cassidy needing a makeover because I know how you feel about it, Mariko.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, who do you think is the best dressed wrestler in AEW right now?
It's gotta be Andrade, man.
I was about to. Well, I would have said Ricky Starks.
Mm-hmm.
It's tied right now between Ricky Starks and Andrade El Idolo.
What about Anthony Ogogo? It's tough.
Oh,
there's a lot of good wrestlers
you're
right now.
right.
Yeah,
That
used to be
that
Ricky
is
Starks.
true.
It used to
He
be
might
Ricky.
still be my number one. You're totally right. We'll see what Andrade brings this week. Next week, I don't.
I
even
mean,
know what day
that
it is
promo
anymore.
this week, that video package this week, where we just watched the man getting dressed. I
Oh,
mean,
man. Yeah.
damn, he's got some nice clothes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Competition is fierce
For-
in AEW.
For me, it has to be Andrade number one overall. I mean, like for me, what I like about Andrade is that
You just
he's-
love that bling.
he's got the bling. He's got the look. He's got the size. You know, he's built like
Even
an ox.
the beard, the man
Yeah,
bun.
exactly. It's just he just oozes like masculinity, like just like testosterone. Like I'm just like, oh my god.
I kind of feel like he has to in order to impress Ric Flair. I mean, like it's Ric Flair. I mean, if Ric Flair, like if you're gonna like, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna be related to Ric Flair and you're gonna like marry, is he married to Charlotte Flair or are they just dating?
And they're engaged.
They're engaged. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Ric Flair is not gonna be like, I think you chose the wrong man. Like he's gonna look at
Mhm.
he's gonna look at him. He's gonna be like, damn.
I did dude's money, man. I
He's
don't
gonna
know.
be like, damn,
like-
this guy's like well dressed. He drives the
Yeah.
right cars because Ric Flair is all about the bling and the flash and the appearance, right? And like, yeah, I don't know. I love this guy. I can't wait to see him in the ring. Okay. I love Jungle Boy Jack Perry. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, maybe top 5. I've been raving about him since I first saw him appear like 2.5 years ago. But watching him opposite of Kenny Omega in the ring made me realize just how small he is. So I want to know, in all honesty, do you think Jungle Boy really has what it takes to win the world title one day? Or because of his size, will he have to settle for a lesser championship?
I think he has the ability to win the championship one day.
Absolutely. He just needs to get on that stupid nutrition program that Cody and the rest of the dudes are.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it a few years. It'll be fine.
What about his promo skills, though?
Yeah, but I mean, we could always just pair him up with a...
I mean, but see, that's the thing. Like, right? Like when you look at Darby Allin, he's small, right?
Mhm.
But he makes up for it in the ring and his appearance, and even his promos aren't bad because it works with his character. But the problem with Jungle Boy is he's small and he can't work the mic.
It's just experience.
Yeah,
Darby was on the indies for years before
Mhm.
Jungle Boy decided to come back to wrestling. He'll get there.
Yeah.
He's got the best team behind him as far as like, you know, the coaching staff at AEW. So I'm not worried.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
he isn't there yet. I know a lot of people want him to be there now. He isn't, but he will be.
I totally agree. I mean, like it's funny, like when you brought this question up, like about the size differences and everything, and like compared to Kenny Omega, if you put Kenny Omega in the WWE, he would be considered a small guy. Like I think that was what
he'd be at 205 Live for the rest of his life.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was like the reasons why he didn't want to join WWE is because like he would have never had a title shot. He would have never had a chance at the heavyweight championship just because of his size.
I wouldn't say never. Benoit won it. Rey Mysterio Jr. won it.
True.
Guerrero won it. He would have to work his ass off, though.
He would have to work his ass off. That was for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna say that they've never had, you know, cruiserweights or like, you know, like smaller size men in the WWE have a title shot, but like he certainly would have had a tougher time making it than the guys here in AEW. I mean, that's one thing I like about AEW is that everyone feels like they have a chance to be a champion, you know, despite size, despite anything. So
all right, last question before we move on. This is going to be somewhat of a longer show, maybe 10 minutes longer than we would usually do because we took a week off. But my last question. Aaron, Don Callis and Kenny Omega, they rolled footage of the conspiracy to screw Kenny Omega out of the world title. So do we believe in the conspiracy? I mean, they showed us the footage, right? That's living proof that he's getting screwed. There is a conspiracy going on, right?
Sure, there is a conspiracy. I mean, like if we're just going by footage, man, I don't know, because like everything was like cut to make it look so.
Well, what do you mean it was cut to make it look? I mean, that's the footage from the pay-per-view event. It's not like
no,
they
it's not.
reenacted the footage.
Stop,
That's actual
stop,
footage.
stop yanking my chain. No, it wasn't.
Kenny Omega and Don Callis drive me up the wall, but
They
that's
are
the point.
so good.
They
Yeah,
are
that's
good
the
at it
point.
because
That's the
when they were doing that promo in like the producer room and everything, showing that footage and everything, like made like shot by Michael was it Michael Kurosawa?
Kurosawa.
Yeah, Kurosawa, but like Kurosawa wasn't like in quotation marks. I was like, okay, that was like one.
Yeah, that was a weird in joke for all our film nerd friends, but
Yeah, so-
it could completely confuse my husband. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, it was hilarious. It was hilarious, and like the was it the fake? Well, not the fake, but like everything that Kenny Omega did. Like, you know, the crowd, the shot was at the crowd cheering for him, and I was like, that is not.
They were showing footage of kids cheering for Kenny Omega, and I don't think those kids were actually spectators at Double or Nothing. Like, I think
those are from a totally different wrestling promotion.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. Yeah.
All right, that has been Ricky's rapid fire questions.
All right. Considering that wasn't especially rapid, we're going to take a quick break before we jump into our main event number one. What is going on behind the scenes at AEW?
We are thrilled to announce that the monetization plan is in full effect. And actually, Jade's marketing revenues are already up 43% across the board. And now that I'm on the team, and the law offices of Mark Sterling is on the case, we've stripped away all the freeloaders, the hangers-on, and the bamboozlers. Jade has a family to feed, and we're gonna make sure that family is fed for years to come. And that family has expensive taste. She's already a star in the wrestling business in less than a year, and we're gonna make sure that she's a household name across all media.
First thing that we need to capitalize off of, Mark, is my catchphrase. These women can't keep it out of their mouth.
I agree. I love the catchphrase, that B word, it's great. And since we get residuals every time you use it, why don't you tell them why you're a star?
'Cause I'm that bitch.
And we are back on Talk AEW, and we're going to be talking about some rumors that have been flying around about what's happening backstage at AEW. Apparently, there could be a little tension between the Young Bucks, between the Cody, between the Kenny Omega. We've noticed that people have kind of been siloed off and doing their own thing, not really hanging out with each other. What do we think's happening? Do we trust the scuttlebutt? What do we think?
So I first heard about this on our buddy Jim Cornette's podcast, like way back 4 weeks ago, I think. And because it's Jim Cornette, I was just like, okay, whatever, right? But I couldn't help but think about it watching Dynamite. I'm like, why is it every time Cody comes out, it feels like he's in a different program? And why is it that Hangman Adam Page doesn't ever interact with Kenny or the Young Bucks or Cody? Like, this was the original Elite, the 5 original members of AEW who pretty much started the promotion with Tony Khan. And now it feels like they're in their own separate wrestling promotion.
Yeah, I think the Hangman thing is really just a storyline for storyline reasons. And he will, once he does whatever he needs to do with the Dark Order, they'll start reintroducing him into the Elite storyline as hopefully the guy who smacks everybody in the face and gets them to start acting less like jerks. So that makes sense to me. The thing about Code, like, I've been saying this since the start of the promotion. It is like there are 2 different promotions.
Yeah.
One is the happy-go-lucky, indie free for all led by the Bucks, and the other one is a weird pseudo serious sport old school Southern wrestling promotion that is run by
Mhm.
Cody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not sure where you would place the Inner Circle. I think they would be more in Cody's camp.
I don't know.
They have a new show coming up. Like Rampage is going to premiere in August. So they're going to have a new show on TV. They have Elevation. They have Dark. Let's just say they were to actually split, not like necessarily like split it like SmackDown and Raw, where each program has its own specific roster, but just kind of like focus more of these storylines on Elevation and Rampage, and these storylines on Dynamite, because there's only so much. There's only so much TV time, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if they were to do that, I kind of see that working. I don't know. It's just, I don't know, Aaron. It's just weird. Am I crazy here? Like, are we crazy? Like, do you feel the same way?
You're not crazy. I mean, you guys brought up the interesting point, is that everyone certainly has their own way of, I guess, like promoting their brand of wrestling. But I think that's also one of the things that I enjoy with AEW, is that you're not stuck watching just one style of wrestling for like 2 hours or so. I mean, you're seeing a lot of like a bit of everything. It's just like a melting pot of wrestling, and to me, it's not entirely a bad thing.
Oh, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it is a
I
great
just
thing.
wonder if they can split these storylines and styles into the two different shows.
I don't think they should or they need to. The other thing is they're not going to want to, because having a storyline across two shows forces you to watch two shows. They're not going to silo off story stuff. I don't think it makes sense.
But that's my question. So, like, what do you expect to see, or who do you expect to see on Rampage? Like, would you expect to see Cody and his gang, or would they still be on Dynamite? Because the Elite is not going to go over to Friday night. Like, Kenny and the Young
Why
Bucks are going
not?
to stay on Wednesday. You think? I don't think so.
Of course, they should. I mean, they show up on Dark and Elevation when they need to. Why wouldn't they
Mm-hmm.
be on the brand new show? I mean, I'm not
Exactly.
saying we're going to see the Bucks every single Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
but when they need a ratings boost, like, of course they're going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But then that would force people to watch two shows if they want to follow a specific storyline.
I wouldn't say it forces everyone. I mean,
But why wouldn't you want both of your shows to draw audiences?
Well,
yeah.
I'm not saying that what I would want or not want. I'm just trying to figure out what would be best for the company, because if you have
Well,
Kenny
I think
Omega,
it's best for the company to encourage people to watch as much stuff as possible. And if it's
Mm-hmm.
that, storylines that cross over between two different shows, then why wouldn't you do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly what Mariko just said. Like, it's always best for the. I mean, like, if you're a Tony Khan, I mean, like, the more eyes you have on your product, the better, right? That at the end, that's what he wants. So why would he treat Rampage as like a show B if Dynamite is a show A? I mean, if he wants to watch, if he wants people to watch Rampage, you want to treat both of them as a show A. So
yes, it'll never be a show A so long as it's on Friday nights and is only 1 hour.
yeah,
That's just the reality.
but we don't know that yet. I don't know. I mean, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt for now. So we'll see.
Yeah. They also have two other YouTube shows that they're running. So it's gonna be one thing at the start, and eventually it's gonna start morphing into whatever it actually needs to be. Like, they're still figuring out what they're actually doing with Elevation. So I mean, I don't think it makes sense to silo these things, but maybe from a creative standpoint, that is going to be a direction that they go. But I don't agree with it. I don't think it makes sense, and I don't think we're going to see anything like that.
Well, I mean, I assume that Elevation will be for the up and coming talent, and I
Yeah.
think Dark will
Yeah,
go
I mean,
back
that
to
was
being Dark.
always the thing, but at the same time, like, they are still working out, like, what that means.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, what I saw so far in Elevation was not so much the wrestling of the wrestling part of Elevation, because a lot of these wrestling matches in Elevation have been a bit of a squash. But what I've enjoyed watching out of Elevation were the video packages and the promos of like some of the lesser known wrestlers.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the thing that Elevation has been doing the
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and like I said, I think Dark's going to go back to what Dark used to be, which is like 2 or 3 dark matches, which you don't normally see televised because they're dark matches. I think that's what it should be. So if Dark becomes what it used to be and is no longer 2.5 hours long, and Elevation is just for up and coming dudes, then I think they're on the right track. I still question the Friday night schedule, but I guess we shall see how it works out.
mhm. Well, and so going back to the the original question of is there a feud between Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and the rest of the EVPs? I mean, I've heard this story like break last month or something, and I think it was
But
only
it's been following them since the league started. That's the thing.
yeah.
Honestly, it seems like every 6 months this story bubbles up again.
Well,
Um,
but you know what? Like I can't say. I mean, like right now, like I have in front of me, like I have Cody Rhodes like addressing the issue and denying it and saying that they've all been talking to each other, like
mhm.
everything is fine, but also like he believes that this is just really like just the wrestling fans trying to make up rumors because it's sexy media, like it's.
Yeah, I mean it makes you click on the dirt sheets.
Yeah, exactly. But if there's any credibility to like what the rumor is, I mean, like you have five guys. How many EVPs are there? Five? Yeah, five. I mean, you have five guys. They all have like
Well, let's not
creative.
forget that poor Brandy gets thrown in there a
Mhm.
lot too
Yeah.
as being an issue.
Yeah, exactly. But we just talked about like how creatively everyone has a different style. So like if when it comes to like, I guess like booking these shows or making these matches, it's the same thing with like any other media. You're in a writer's room. I mean, it's possible you're gonna have arguments, you're gonna have disagreements. These things happen.
I like the fact that it feels like I'm watching 2 different wrestling programs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the variety. I
Yeah.
think honestly, like a little bit of creative tension kind of creates a better product.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you have the Chris Jericho side of things, then you have the Cody Rhodes storylines and feuds, and then you have the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
90% of the matches and storylines have revolved around those 3 groups of people.
I mean, like I think from the creative standpoint too, like everyone's doing their own thing. Like I think they're doing the right thing of not wanting to step on each other's toes, right? I mean, everyone has the liberty to do what they want. So I think the product shows well on TV. I mean, I'm being entertained so far. So that would be like my take on the whole situation.
Yeah, I think it's really just an easy story to bubble up and get people whispering about, but I mean, the actual effect on the actual product, I don't think it's been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm glad we cleared up the rumors and gossip.
We are the final arbiters of all gossip. All right, on that note, we're going to take another short break, and when we get back, we're going to be talking about the roster. Are there too many wrestlers? Are there not enough? Let's find out.
I've already beaten you twice. I got nothing to prove to the fans, and I damn sure got nothing to prove to you. Your match request is denied, bud. And then there's Sammy Guevara. Sammy, I'd love to stand here and pretend I was shocked at the fact that you let Chris Jericho speak on your behalf about our little rivalry. But I wasn't. And that's not just because I think you're a chicken shit. But that's because if I were you, I wouldn't want to talk either, considering you have the same speaking skills as Helen Keller. You don't belong in a ring with me, Sammy. So if I were you, I'd keep my name out of your mouth, because I'm better than you. And you know it.
And we are back on Talk AEW, talking about the AEW roster. Is it too crowded? Do we have room for any more of the WWE wrestlers who were recently released? And how should we handle who wrestles on what show, which Rampage finally premieres? Ricky, I have a feeling you have some feelings about this.
Okay, it's not too crowded because we have Elevation, Dark, and Rampage. And if you don't have time or you don't have the interest to watch those 3 or 4 shows, that's on you. But there's 4 shows technically. So there's more than enough shows for the roster. They could do a better job in balancing who gets TV time, which hopefully they will do with Rampage. Do they need more WWE superstars? I would say no.
Except for Tommy End, because he just completely makes sense with WWE or AEW, and WWE had no idea what to do with him. And he is exactly the kind of wrestler who will thrive in a place like AEW. Also, the Iconics. Like, what the heck happened to them? They should totally come over and start the women's tag division properly.
I mean, give us Matt Riddle at the same time, why don't you?
Oh, that's never happening. They
They
understand the value proposition. They don't
Yeah.
for the rest of the guys they let go, and like more for us, I guess.
I don't mind the WWE talent jumping ship, but so long as they don't lose a focus on the guys like Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy and Darby Allin and the dudes that I love and who I followed for the last 2 years and who are the reason why I watch Dynamite and AEW in general.
Well, so far they've done a good job at like every time they brought in like a veteran wrestler, they've done a good job at like bringing up the greener talent in AEW. So I'm not worried. I'm not too worried about like, you know, again, ex WWE wrestlers coming to AEW. I mean, they've done a good job at all working together.
I mean, look at the job that they've done with Tay Conti. Look at the job that they've done with Miro.
Exactly.
And they're not just taking everyone either. Like, there are certain people I think it makes way more sense for AEW to pick up than others. Like Mr. Tommy End, like the Iconics.
There's some wrestlers from WWE that I just can't imagine working in AEW, but I could be completely wrong. Like, could you imagine New Day in AEW, despite the fact that that would be kind of awesome and we'd have good matches, but I don't know. It would be weird.
I don't think it would be weird. I mean, like, you know, having wrestlers like
I think they could make it work just because AEW is such a weird kind of toss salad of things, and having something so incredibly goofy, but like there is already an innate goofiness to a lot of AEW stuff. So I mean, I think they could find a way to make it work.
And I feel like, I mean, going to the subject of New Day, I think they would fit in so well given how they're into, like, you know, gaming culture and everything. I mean, they're so on the nose with a lot of like the stuff that they bring in WWE, so they would fit right in. But like guys like Tom Yen, for sure, like I would love to see him in AEW just because like
I've already seen all the photoshops of him with Butcher, Blade, and Bunny, and it's just like it's seamless.
Yeah, exactly. He would fit.
Even his approach to like character and storytelling, it fits in with those guys too.
I haven't seen Butcher, Blade, and Tom and Bunny in a long time now.
Oh, we just saw Bunny on, was it last week on Dynamite?
Yeah, I think Butcher's injured, which is why they haven't been wrestling. So Blade's been backing up Bunny when she wrestles. But they're also part of the Hardy family office, so they sometimes come out with Hardy.
That is true.
I also haven't seen Kip Sabian in a while.
He's also injured. Yeah, that's what that whole Miro spot was actually about. Was writing him off so he could get surgery or recover from whatever injury he has right now.
Okay.
It feels like it's too crowded for Dynamite, but not too crowded for AEW in general. Like, I would like to see like who's someone that we really love that hasn't wrestled in a pay-per-view match. like Lee Johnson, for example. Like he
Mhm.
was on Dynamite last week, teamed up with Cody, had a tag team match against QT Marshall and Anthony Ogogo. That was cool to see him on Dynamite. I don't know. Like, I guess the thing is, Mariko, going back to the last segment, I think you're right. Like, I think they need to put guys like Kenny Omega and Young Bucks on shows like Rampage to make room for different wrestlers to appear on Dynamite. Because I still think Dynamite is their number one show, and I
Mhm.
think that's how you're gonna improve your ratings and get people to invest more in the other shows. Because maybe not everyone will like Lee Johnson, but maybe some people will like, say, Brian Cage, and Brian Cage one day is wrestling on Rampage instead of Dynamite, so they'll tune into Rampage and or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
there's got to be a way for them to sort of like draw people into watching the other shows. But the thing is, you also don't want people to feel like it's a chore. You don't want
Mhm.
fatigue. You don't want people to be like just burnt out by watching 3 wrestling shows per week. Like, I think Dynamite's got to be the show that you have to tune into,
Mhm.
and the other 2 shows or 3 shows, it's got to be based on a specific wrestler if you want to tune in. But I think that's why highlight packages would really benefit AEW, which they're doing a lot of right now, by the way,
Yeah, they've done more highlight packages as of late, which is a
more
very
so
good
than the
thing.
past.
Yeah, more so than in the past, which is very good. So I like that. Because like if there's one thing that I feel like they should really make it work, and there's just one analogy that I've heard once, and it really stuck with me. It was a really good one. When it comes to wrestling, was that like you got to treat every episode like it's someone's first episode, because it was the same analogy they use in Stanley said it. Stanley said it. You got to treat every comic book like it's this person's first comic book, because if you're gonna have a lot of eyes like going on to like something new, like it's you gotta set up like a good jumping on point, right? So I felt like that's the one thing they've made good on their video packages, and a lot of their highlights was like, even if I missed a bit of something like last week or the week prior, they cover it like on a show that I will catch, which is really good, because at least I don't have to like double back into like last week's episode or anything.
But
So
that's why I like squash matches. We talked about this like 8 weeks ago, and I was trying to explain to you why I was a big fan of those matches on Dynamite, because like this week we get Lance Archer showing up for 45 seconds, totally destroys his
oh god,
opponent.
yeah.
But if you're
Yeah,
watching it for the first time, you're like, holy shit, who's
this guy is
that
a
dude?
monster. Yeah.
Right. So even though
Hmm.
it's a 45 second long match, it does wonders for Lance Archer, especially if you're tuning in for the first time.
Hmm.
So that is why I like having a squash match, but I also like the video packages that they do, because it's sort of like a recap of what happened over the past week or two in case you
Hmm.
haven't watched Dark Elevation. So they just need to keep doing what they're doing. I think they're on the right track. I think there was a point in time where we were like a little concerned, but I don't know. Tony Khan seems to know what he's doing. Like, we
Hmm.
can sort of like nitpick here and there, but the only issue I have right now is them finding ways to get their champions to defend the championship belts more so. Because I noticed this week that when the Young Bucks came out and they showed their statistics, right? Because they pull up the graphic, it
Hmm.
said that they've been champions for 267 days.
Jesus Christ, it's been 260.
I don't know. Has it? I guess.
It feels longer.
Everything feels longer. Time has no meaning anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Anyhow, I just can't wait for a Friday night Dynamite thing to be over with. I'll be okay with watching Rampage on Saturday morning when I wake up, but I don't want to watch a 2-hour program Saturday morning. 1 hour I can do.
Yeah.
Have my cup of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
coffee, watch a bit
Yeah,
of
that's
Rampage.
perfect.
1 hour is perfect.
Also, especially if you can skip commercials, because then it's like roughly 40-45 minutes
Mm-hmm.
if you PVR it.
True.
Mm-hmm. Like I guess like just to like finish off the question, right? Like, was it if AEW can have like more wrestlers?
I think they got room for them with the new show. And the other thing is, like, so many people are injured, so it does make sense to have a deep roster,
Mm-hmm.
just so that everyone gets time to heal and get better and whatnot. So I think we got room for more than a few more people.
Yeah, I feel like we have room for a few more people.
Well,
I mean,
Aaron, out of all of the releases from WWE, and mind you, I've heard yesterday they're going to release more people, more wrestlers.
mhm.
Who would you want to see in AEW? Like Lana, would you really want to see her? Because I would feel like that can interfere. Because Miro's on a streak right now; he's hot.
I wouldn't mind seeing Lana just because, like, I mean, just her like putting in the work and everything. Like, she's been
I
amazing.
want to see Lana come only so that she can be part of an intergender match with Penelope and Kip.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to watch too. And for Tommy End, I mean, I'm just like, he was complaining about not being used, and then they finally used them for like for a split second, and then they cut him. So I just want to see him, like, get his, get his share
Get some
of
respect.
yeah,
Yeah.
get some respect.
Well, and I heard another rumor that someone at WWE realized they fucked up and was trying to get him back. And I was just like,
Ugh.
dude, you better
No.
have all the tea and all the money in China because,
Mhm.
like, if I were him, why? No.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean,
But
like,
I'm sure like Tony Khan would offer him a good paycheck.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But the fact is, to go back to a place where you've been mistreated, you've been fired, your wife's been mistreated and fired,
mhm.
and now that they decided that they effed up and want you back, no.
No.
Yeah.
But rumor has it that Tony Khan pays better than WWE in the sense when it comes to the average wrestler or the dudes that are considered like low card, which I totally believe.
Mhm.
Like maybe
Yeah.
his salary won't match the top guns at WWE, but for the majority of the roster, they would be making more money at AEW than anywhere else, including WWE.
Yeah, and plus they won't be locked down into like not being able to use like third party, like, like, because a lot of people
Oh,
in
that's
yeah.
true. They can have their own WrestleTees accounts. They can
Mhm.
have their own YouTube and Twitch
Yeah,
channels and
exactly.
actually be independent contractors.
Mhm.
By the way, I like the fact that the new ratings war is a war between Sammy's vlog and BTE.
Yes. I mean, as much as I love Braun Strowman, I don't know what he would add necessarily to the AEW product.
He would certainly add. He would probably be the biggest wrestler in AEW if he was there. I mean, height
Yeah,
wise.
but I just, like, with his work rate and all the other big dudes, like, the other thing is he was getting paid so much money at
Oh yeah.
WWE. Like, there's no way AEW can match
Well,
that. So
that's why it was a surprise when he was cut, because he was like a Vince McMahon product. Vince McMahon did
Yeah.
everything to push this guy.
yeah,
He beat Goldberg.
Yeah.
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 I mean, look, regardless if they can't match it, like it's not like there's anywhere else where he can go that's going to pay him the same amount of money.
Oh
Vince
no,
would
he
pay
is
him.
not. He is not making that money ever again, like
No.
anywhere else. No.
Well, unless he
No,
does movies.
I'm surprised. Like, I honestly feel like WWE is going to try and re-sign him in a couple of months at a lower rate.
It's entirely
I don't think they
possible.
want to let him go, and I don't think Vince really wants to let him go.
Mhm.
Well, the rumor now is apparently they're trying to re-sign
Tommy End,
No, oh my
Aleister
God.
Black, no?
What is his name again? Samoa Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, apparently they want him to go back to NXT, which would kind of make sense.
Hmm.
Well, on that note, I think we're gonna call it a day. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I want to remind you that you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, all the places pods are casted. And again, I have been Mariko, joined by Aaron.
No problemo. Again with these throw off, like,
I know, I'm just gonna keep
I know.
changing it up every week.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta stay on my toes now.
Yeah, get on your toes there. And of course, the ravishing Ricky D.
And don't forget to check out the website, goombastomp.com. Check out the wrestling section. We produce, I would say, about 4 to 5 opinion pieces on AEW per week. And of course, you can find the podcast over at goombastomp.com. If you ever want to write about wrestling, shoot me an email. All the information is over at goombastomp.com. I'm on Twitter. It's Talk AEW Podcast. We'll be back maybe next week, but for sure in 2 weeks, once again to talk about AEW.
Goodbye.
Next week, I am not replacing Sting. I want this to be a handicap match. So Sting, please. Listen to me. Stay home.
Stay home so you can have a handicap match?
Listen. Just stay home.
You know what
I don't want you to even...
You know what they're capable of.
I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. You got the win at Double or Nothing. I want to prove to both of them. I don't need you, Sting.
You got nothing to prove. You were the TNT champion when I walked in the door. You accomplished everything you accomplished before I walked in the door. You're who you are because you're Darby, not because of Sting. We both won.
It's not about that. Just stay home. This one time, please.